Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Philip Wallace, and in this episode, I will be discussing acquisitions, specifically business acquisitions, and even more specifically, for you auto parts professionals. Should you be buying a business? Does it make sense to acquire a a business to attach to your business to help it grow sales and turn losses into profits and continually feed your auto parts business, which to me it's a no-brainer. This is going to be so much value to you if you decide to focus on acquisitions that it's basically going to change your life, and there's no sugarcoating that. It's like without a doubt. Um, there's so many rabbit holes for me to go down, so many ways of making money, of growing your business, of dominating your region, right? Your city, your town. If you want to be the person, the business owner who, like, no, a Napa can't come in and take over your business in your town. If you want to control your industry, this video, and specifically me and my business and what we do, can definitely help you get to that stage. So, does it make sense for you to buy a business? No, you can buy a competitor, right? So, somebody selling the exact same stuff to the same customers that you sell to. I mean, those advantages are huge as far as being able to um, buy in bulk, right? This is something that's going to help lower your costs, and it depends on what you need specifically for your business. Like, what's the goal, right? For instance, like the biggest companies in the world, they live off of acquisitions. They Buying businesses is their entire focus. You name a company, you decide to pick a company and focus and Google them and see what acquisitions they're doing, and you'll be surprised. Like, that's how the business grows. Uh, FedEx, you name the company, Apple, Google. Google is the biggest acquisition company out there. Like, they've done over 400 acquisitions. They're constantly eating other businesses up. Apple, another one, and that's the reason I started this, is for Apple, because Apple, they buy a business every month, right? They still not as bad as Google, but they buy a business every month, and their focus is on, it's not on um, beating up competitors. Apple, they don't hire, right? They don't go out and look for the best people and say, hey, come work for Apple. They go look for you, and they know the businesses that are coming up that are making big um, goals and decisions and have big actions and big plans, and are dominating in some way, and they go buy that company. That's what Apple does, right? They find the geniuses that are coming up and they buy them, right? They buy what they, and then they bring them over to Apple, and then they dissolve the company that they were working for and say, hey, come work for Apple now. Here's uh, the package and all the good stuff, right? And then now they got that guy, right? And they'll take his team too if they have to. So that's what Apple does. They acquire for the people. Um, there's a specific words for that, but that's escaping me now. Acquire, right? So they acquire teams. So it depends on what you're looking for in your business, right? If it was like if you needed space, then you would buy. If you're buying a competitor, then you would buy somebody who had the space that you don't have, right? If you needed more inventory space, right? If that's the route you're going down. So it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. But whether it's starting another auto parts business or buying one that's already up and running with clients and and all the resources and SOPs and like it's a no-brainer, right? Again, that is the move. Buy your competitor up, attach it to your business, and all of a sudden you've doubled your income, you've doubled your wealth. And how long did it take you to get to where you are now? Right? How long was it? How long did it take, that struggle? And in 6 to 12 months, you can have double what you have right now. Acquisitions, right? Marketing is great. So sure, you could start a campaign and do some heavy marketing, and sales will increase, right? How long is that going to last? Right? That's a temporary fix. And yeah, you should be putting money into marketing anyways. And even if that is your goal, okay, let's do marketing. But let's also do acquisitions, right? Let's also focus on acquiring a business to attach to your business to help feed it, right? So competitors, it would be a great business to buy, but there's also complementary businesses that you could buy. And again, depending on your situation, right? Say you were to buy a towing company, because that's the first contact with with clients, with mechanics, with customers, right? Who are gonna need parts. So if you own a towing company, automatically brings wealth, brings resources, brings a lot to your auto parts business, and you're not doing anything to the auto parts business. You're not doing anything to your business, right? You just acquired a business that's going to help your business lower cost and increase sales. Now you decide how much you owing a towing company is really going to bring value to your parts business, right? I think over the long run, this is value of what we're bringing to you. That is the value. So, um, car dealership value. If you own the car dealership, a salvage yard. If your auto parts, you own your auto parts business, and you own a salvage yard. Right? Parts, nonstop, right? Nonstop parts, nonstop people to reach out to, and nothing changed with your auto parts business. We haven't even touched it yet. We haven't done anything at all. You just acquired another business, right? The value is huge. The biggest mechanic shop or shop in your town, if you were to reach out to that owner and you are able to buy that business, we're talking 7 bays, 8 bays, whatever, a nice big shop. It doesn't have to be a big shop too. I'm just saying, if you own the biggest shop in your town, you just bought a client, right? You bought a customer. The value of owning a shop for a parts business, especially like if it's a shop that's not buying the numbers that they should be buying from you right now. I mean, say they're not even buying from you right now. Be huge. So I believe, without a doubt, this should be the next move that you're doing. I mean, it complements whatever your team is already planning on doing to make you a lot more money. Acquisitions only helps that, only improves on that goal or whichever road you're going down, right? So you want to buy a business, you want to buy a complementary business, or you want to buy a competitor, right? Without a doubt. And that's what we do here. Strategic acquisitions, that is the number one thing that we focus on, but we also know sales, and we know leads, And we know sales and leads like no one else. Why? Because it's the same idea, the same focus, which is acquisitions, right? Buy your eyes and ears of your ideal avatar. Own wherever they are. And not only that, but how about the people that deal with your avatar every day? Like that's their business. They get your specific clients and customers coming to them every day. Say you were to buy a group, Facebook group, LinkedIn group, email list, newsletter. Say you were to buy wherever they are and you owned it. You owned that group where those people are dealing with. So now they would just consistently be sending you clients, right? And you set up deals with them. If it's a Facebook group, you have the banner. Your name of your auto parts store would be across the banner. You are the admin is under your control. You can do posts. You have everybody's email list. Right? Who's getting you leads like that? The Real Kingman Corporation. So, but I got off a little bit off a track there. So let's go back to the acquisitions, right? So it's definitely what you should be doing is buying a business. Now, how are you going to do it, right? How do you go about acquiring the shop that's going to help dramatically help benefit your auto parts business? How do you go about doing it, right? Now, if you have $1 million liquid, please do not use it to acquire a shop. Do not use even half of it, right? The value of the Real Kingman Corporation, right? So if you are going to buy a business, say a shop is valued at $2 million, and you are saying, yeah, that'd be great to buy that shop. It's 7 bays. It's on the other side of town. It doesn't buy from us now. Like, this would bring real value to our parts business without a doubt. How do I acquire this business that costs $2 million, right? And if you were, maybe you'd put down what, $200,000 of your own cash to buy this $2 million business. Would that be fair? Would $500,000 be fair to buy this $2 million business of your own cash, and then you went to the bank and got a loan or wherever? 700,000. If you were to use $700,000 of your own money to buy a $2 million business, that would be great. Like, just based on those numbers, I mean, a $2 million business could be bringing in $500,000 or so a year. I mean, you'd make your money back in 2 years, really, less than 2 years. So even 500,000, $200,000 of your own money, definitely, right? To buy this $2 million business is going to bring in $500,000 a year. That's a no-brainer. So, but what if I said you didn't even have to spend the $200,000 to acquire this $2 million business? The Real Kingman Corporation, right? So, how are we going to do it? How are you going to buy this business? Well, we're going to negotiate with the seller right off the bat. Seller financing. Sellers, as you know, will finance large purchases. So a business is no different. So if you were to go to the seller and say, okay, it's a $2 million business, would you seller finance 20%? And asking for 20% is not a lot. Sellers finance 40%, even 80%, even 100% of the business in certain situations. A seller will finance 100%. Say $2 million business, and he was gonna get, paid the 2 million out over 5-10 years. People would accept that. You're just asking for 20%, just $400,000. That's acceptable, right? That's something that's doable, and that's a strategy. right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to stack strategies on top of each other. We're not just going to use the one, which is what most people do. They do seller financing and then they'd run to their bank and get a bank loan. And you got seller financing and the bank loan, you own that business, right? And how much of your own money was put into that? Probably none, right? It's that simple, right? It's that simple. But without going to the bank for the bank loan, I mean, maybe your credit's not the best, or maybe you just don't want to. You want to leave that road open. You want to, for whatever reason. You could also go to the seller and say, "Hey, seller, we really love your business, but we're not so sure that it's gonna make the $500,000 every year. So we would like you to put in an earnout agreement, right? An earnout agreement, and that's it's a performance type of payment structure, which is say now, okay, if the business makes 500,000 in 12 months, or usually earnouts are not that long, but say an earnout was 12 months. If it made 500,000, then the business owner would get, say, another 20%. So you'd ask for another 20% earnout. See, these are the things we do, right? There's lots of different ways of going about closing the deal, right? So we're negotiating with the seller. We haven't even done anything yet, and we've negotiated probably 40%, $800,000 of that $2 million, right? By stacking those two strategies on top of each other, and there's no reason you couldn't go to the seller and say, hey, we'd like those two strategies stacked on top of each other. They are both paying him, the seller, their money over a period of time, but the seller is getting paid. And sometimes for tax reasons, it's better to be paid out a large sum of money over a period of time. So maybe the seller might be that might be something that they're interested in, right? They might even be pushing that on you, say, hey, this is what I want, right? So that's and there, so those are things that we could do negotiating with the seller. And of course, there's always things you can do, right? Some negotiation. And then there are loans, right? So now, if you're in the States, it's an SBA loan, right? You can borrow up to 70% of that $2 million through an SBA, right? In Canada, we have the BDC, Business Development Bank of Canada, right? I'm in the Niagara area. So, but I've lived all over Canada, specifically Alberta, Calgary, Edmonton, Fort McMurray, whatever. Um, we have the BDC loan. They'll lend up to 70%. They'll lend, well, it's not 70%. They have their criteria, but they will lend the majority of that money, right? And especially if you are currently a business owner, right? And especially if you structure, they can see the stack. They can see how you're getting the money, especially if you have seller financing already up front, right? You have those three things, right? 70% of money. So that's a way you can go. You can negotiate. You can go down to BDC. You can go in Canada. We also have a SB FP. It's called the Canadian Small Business Financing Plan, CSBFP, and they lend on asset loans, right? So there are lifts. There's things in the shop. You could structure the deal in a way where you can go to them for asset loan, and they'll lend up to $2 million. But say you went to them for $200,000, right? And even the BDC loan, right? Or the SBA, we don't have to ask for the full amount. Like if you want them to approve your loan, ask for minimums, right? So again, we're stacking, we're putting loans on top of loans. And now I'm giving you all of the gusto, right? This is this is the No Fluff channel. If you watched any of my previous episodes or anything that I put, I don't play around, right? I give it. It's here. So, and you can take this and you can go do it yourself, right? Any of this you can take and go do it yourself. And I just want to know that you're doing the business acquisitions, but like you're gonna make mistakes. It's gonna take you time, and this is common. You know that it's right. So, and how much of an advantage would you really gain doing it on your own when you obviously have someone in front of you that knows what they're doing, right? So you don't need to ask for the full amount, right? And so through those lenders, those two in Canada, the one in the States, you can get a majority of their money, right? So that's another way of getting majority of money. Plus, there are loans that you can do with others that, like, not the bank, right? There are other lenders that will lend for assets, will lend for furniture, fixtures, and equipment, will lend for revenue, will lend for accounts receivable, will lend, like, so if you get 100,000 or 200,000 from each of those, right? And you can stack them and you can exactly show everybody exactly what is being done. Why? Because none of the loans are stepping on each other's toes. They're all, everybody can see individually. Like, again, if you borrowed from the lifts, that would be separate. If you borrow from the furniture, fixtures, equipment, which is office, the desk and the tables, and people lend on those things, right? You can lend, and so those things don't have any friction, so the lenders are okay. And so, of course, like, we have a full process of going through and figuring out exactly how or what to do in order for you to buy a business. I have it down to the fact where you could point and show me, say, that's the business, it's for sale, this is how much it costs, show me how to get it filled. And within 20 minutes, 10 minutes, I could have exact deal track. I can do one straight, but I can tell you exactly who to go to for those loans. And the loans are through the business, right? We're borrowing off of the business. It's so doable that, like, you could even borrow from your own business, right? If there's we could do, I could show you right now 14 different ways stacked on top of each other where you're not in friction on any of them, and you could borrow from different things. And there's also, like, you don't have to do loans too, right? There's other strategic ways of coming up with the money, whether through partners, investors, even people working in the business now. Like, how do you keep your mechanics, right? Offer them a piece of equity in the business, right? And let them buy the equity, right? They have money too, right? They can go and they can get, they homeowners, they probably have crypto and stuff. They got stocks, they can go borrow themselves, right? Then you say, hey, would you like to own a piece of this business with me, right? And now he buys in 5, 10, 2%, whatever, 1%, 5%, whatever. Now he's in the business, right? Now you got your mechanic there. He's part of the business. He's opening and closing the shop, right? And he might have come up with 100,000 or 200,000, right? And so, and you don't need to own 100% of any business, right? You just want to be able to control it in order for it to feed your parts business, right? So the money is there, right? To be able to acquire the business is there, and we already talked about the value is there, right? It's easy to come up with that money. So if you can come up with the money and you could buy the business, then all that's left now is extracting the value from it, right? And so we're not just going to have you buy this business and then see you later. You go ahead, right? There are ways for you to um, bundles, right? Subscriptions. You could advertise in the parts store. You could advertise your highest margin parts and things that you sell in the shop, right? You could get the mechanic to sell, to offer parts, right? And he gets a bonus for suggesting certain parts in your shop, right? So, and there's just a myriad of things that you could do, as far as even your admin and um, the phone service, integrating all this stuff. Like, these are all gonna lower cost, right? You're gonna lower cost, and basically, like, nothing is really changing in your business, right? You're just and so now, and parts on demand, right? And the inventory is gonna be linked between the two businesses. So like, and now you have a service developed, right? And now you can start offering that to other shops. business acquisitions, right? And acquiring one business, you're just dipping your toe in the water, right? You want to control your battlefield. You want to control your city, town, area. You don't want somebody to come in a big shop and put up their shop there and start selling to your people. If you own the people you sell to, if you own the businesses in your city, let's go get the towing company. Let's go get the car dealership. Let's go get the detailing shop. Let's go grab these businesses. You sell them everything. You feed them. You have the contacts. You own them. Nobody takes over your city, town area. Wealth, reoccurring income, right? That's the value I bring. Connect. I mean, definitely connect with me. If you see a hole in this, you see some way where this is not the smartest, safest way to grow your business. If this is not the safest way, acquiring another business, you'll be an investor, right? You'll be out there now speaking to business owners, other business owners, on buying businesses. Are you selling? Yeah, buy it. Strategically buy businesses. Right? So we offer a 4-hour consultation. Nothing else after that. That's it. Give you everything you need. I lay out the complete opportunity of acquisitions. So we've only dipped our toe in it right now, right? We want to go bigger, right? And even you acquiring all of these businesses in your town, you're still just getting started, right? And so, but anyways, this is the thing that you should be doing. Once you're a successful business owner, what is next? What do you do next, right? You buy businesses, grow your business further than you ever thought, most people ever thought possible, right? Be seen as a genius amongst your community, amongst your peers, amongst your partner. That's enough. My name is Phillip Wallace. I'll see you on the other side.